So the development and collection of these records is a problem. All right, and so if you look at that here, I say the medical records. Number one is that if you look at the medical record for disability claim, if you say one medical episode, appendicitis, or where you go to a surgery or whatever, would generate multiple medical records. And then, the one medical record, it's been identified by the index. That's how in the disability determination, how to identify the medical records. Again, at this moment in time, I don't believe our nation have a very legal definition of what's a component of the medical records, and also what is the constituent medical record per se. So, but then, in the disability determination data for the collection, how to identify that, and in order for us to transport it or transmit it from point A to point B, generally speaking, that for the John, John Doe, is that there will be 4 identifiers. One is the author of the record, and that's Dr. Smith, and date of record, place of record, and types of record. For example, it's admission record, laboratory, X-ray, post-op discharge, and medication, etc., etc. So that is how the medical records are assembled and identified as a batch, and for us to transport it to collection and interpret it from one location one to the other. So if you look at and this is how the collections and also the interpretation of medical records is a problem. So the solution that brings it to the third point here is really look at again, it's tied into the National Health Information Network, how to piggyback onto it. And is really more to treat these medical records in 2 levels. One is at much more macro or the envelopes level. In other words, all the medical records identification. Obviously, within the record itself will contain all of the medical records contents, right? And contents, we've seen a lot of contents, your lab results, your X-ray results, all their content. So we want to approach the solution. One of the biggest problems is that what is the low-hanging fruit? What is the most important area to solve it before we take a much more micro, pervasive, much more detailed, medical record content generation, assembly, the generation. That's a much more detail. So the 2 level. And I'm going to propose that, let's solve the first level is to have all the records, because the disability is very longitudinal period. In other words, in some of the programs, the record needs to be, an individual need to go back. There's no statute of limitation. In the case of VA and so forth, goes back all the way to like 30 years ago. It's very longitudinal, and some of the paper records are in paper form. And of course, records, some of them are scanned now, and some of the medical records are generally using the much newer, the medical, what is that, electronic medical record way of generating those records too. So it has to deal with all of these records in, again, that claimants, records in all the different providers' locations. So how to collect them together to assemble into your the record to become evidence to support the claim. So here is that we're talking about get down to the first level, get into the electronic, the envelope idea. And here's I outlined about basic 4 steps about that. Number 1, of course, is how the medical records are generated, which, again, is addressed for the detail, the content side of that. But again, step 2 is really how to put the record into electronic envelopes. And that's on the sender side of it, most probably from the provider side of it. And, of course, step 3 will be the destination that will be mostly like a disability benefit payer and determinations. And then, of course, the review doctor. And, of course, the 4th step is that, once you get the destination, how the envelope is opened, and of course be used for the internal operation of the medical disability benefit payer or determination operation.